Get those negative thoughts out of here. We don't want to live in despair anymore. I hope, hallelujah. I hope, hallelujah.
Our chalice lighting words this morning come from Kathleen McKeague. Here in the refuge of this Sabbath home, we turn our busy minds towards silence and our full hearts toward one another. We move together through the mysteries, the bright surprise of birth and the shadowed questions of death. In our slow walk between the two, we will be wounded and we will be showered with grace, amazing, unending. Even in our sorrows, we feel our lives cradled in holiness we cannot comprehend. And though we each walk with a vast loneliness, the promise we offer here is that we do not walk alone. This is a holy place in which we gather, the light of the earth brought in and held, touched then by our answering light. The flame on a chalice, the flicker of a candle, the lamps of our open faces brought near in this place of silence and celebration, solemnity and music, we make a sanctuary and name our home.
When you love someone, you take care of and protect them. When you love something, you take care of and protect it. Taking good care of something you value is called stewardship. We can be good stewards of our families, our friends, our schools, the earth we live on, and our congregation. In our congregation and UU Faith Beyond, we are brave, curious, and compassionate thinkers and doers. We create spirituality and community beyond boundaries, working for more justice and more love in our own lives and in the world. We provide a safe and welcoming space hard to come by elsewhere in Bismarck and statewide. In stewardship, we often consider gifts through the lenses of time, talent, and treasure. During this stewardship season, we encourage you to think reflectively about how you're giving of yourself and your gifts within the congregation. Questions to ask yourselves: how are you utilizing both the time you have, but also the time you give to others? How are you fostering your talents and devoting energy to develop them while also passing along that talent either directly or indirectly via expertise and wisdom? How are you giving of your resources, whatever form they take, in a way that brings both you and the recipients joy? Our hope for our church's future and our own growth within the congregation is that we each become more intentional with the abundance in our lives and give of ourselves towards our hopes and dreams for this special place and continued generosity and joy. In preparation for contributing to our 2022 budget plan, members and friends will do a lot of soul searching of their lifestyles and finances. This is also a time to look at which councils and other areas we can take on based on time, talent, and ability to pledge for the ongoing operations of this congregation. And now we'll delve deeper into the three stewardship areas of time, talent, and treasure, starting with Mary, who will talk about time.
So in preparation for this, I did a bunch of reading across the UUA worship web and past stewardship sermons. And our reoccurring theme there, as Christine mentioned, is abundance and scarcity. And so I was asking myself, what does scarcity look like? Scarcity of time look like and feel like? For me, it's this notion that there's not enough time in the day to do what you need, that time is running out, that people are not giving enough of their time and service to making this place go, that there is not enough time in our hectic lives for spiritual development. And it does not feel good, that scarcity mindset. And shifting from the narratives of scarcity to one of abundance is a practice. So I've shared before that one of my favorite lines in our welcoming words is that this congregation is a place where we gather to nurture one another, to be supported on our life journey, and to put our beliefs into action through work in our communities and the wider world. And I think that another way of saying this is that this community is a place, is where we make time for our spiritual growth. I've heard people say out loud here that coming here together for an hour on a Sunday morning brings them, it's so worth it feeling. By taking time, we make time. Participating in the life of this congregation is a way to be intentional about our spiritual growth and community. Every time you show up for your spiritual growth, you are both experiencing and contributing to abundance. It's so worth it. And all of the work of this congregation involves time. So I heard both Reverend Karen Van Fossen and Reverend Soley have cited this rule of thumb, they must teach it in seminary, that it takes an hour to prepare for each minute of the Sunday service. And actually the first time that I heard this, I felt a sense of relief because it was giving myself permission to research and let my mind wander and to write and to revise, and that it was okay to take time for that. The time for contemplation was not only permissible, but necessary and expected, that this takes time. I'll also admit that this week I've had, and not just this week, but I've had several moments of panic thinking about how much time it takes to plan for service and to do all of, not just that, but that's one example. And so again, shifting from a narrative of scarcity to one of abundance is a practice. And I think making the shift is less about what we do than the spirit in which we do it, with which we do it. As your treasurer, I go to the church regularly, every other week or so, and log the donations that have come into our church management software, Breeze, so that we can have a record of it before Marcy deposits them in our bank account for us. Even when I'm at my most focused, this takes some time. And sometimes when I notice how many hours have elapsed, I can feel this sense of guilt and panic about having spent time in this way. Scarcity around time involves a default sense of urgency and a narrative that pushes for more, faster. I think we're all familiar with this, and there may be some truth to the logic that the faster you are able to do the things you don't like to do, the more time you will have to do the things that you do like. But that formula is premised on being able to shift from one state to the other, from rush and get it done mode into savor and enjoy mode. It's been my experience that it's possible for me to get stuck in the rush and get it done part. Most of the formal training in my life has been about how to speed up and become more efficient, and very little is about how to slow down or recognize or relish or even recognize sensations of satisfaction. We need to practice that part too. A few weeks ago, when I came out of the church office after some time on the computer, I was on the brink of feeling that I should rush home and do the next thing. But the sun was out and it was a gorgeous fall day. Ann Knudsen was also out working on the grounds. Ann was mulching the spot in our front lawn where the tree sculpture has been removed. I went over and said hello. We looked at the garden, and she broke off several of the seed heads and pods, and we filled a grocery sack with milkweed fluff and grains of catnip seed and a couple other textures I now forget the names for. She told me to take the bag home and to scratch the seeds into a few places in my backyard. I did take it home. And then several days went by and it got kind of cold and gray, and I didn't do anything with it. But then on one of the next warmer afternoons, I remembered the seeds and I got them in the ground. There is some chance that some of these seeds will germinate in the spring and that there will be more plants and flowers and pollinators about. I hope this happens, but even if it doesn't, I already have in me, in my being, in the memory of the beautiful golden warm autumn day when I lingered there and talked a little and gathered those seeds with their various textures. It is already so worth it. So I'm here to remind you to accept that some things, like living life, involve time. This work of spiritual development involves time. Building community involves time. Cultivating a sense of enoughness around time requires practice. It's not just about how much you can do and doing more. I think the shift has a lot to do with being present in the moment and not begrudging the time required to do a thing. Let your time be a gift, both to all of us and to yourself. Thanks. And I think Marnie is next.
I am. Hello, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about talent. And, one of the things that I'm always so that I appreciate is the fact that when we're with each other, I think one of the things that I have a talent for is being able to stand up and say how I feel in an authentic way. And I'm so happy to see your faces here, but it doesn't feel the same. And so the talent is a two-way street is one of the things I'm realizing in this moment. You make me brave and you make me more authentic. But I want to talk to you a little bit about what talent means when we talk about time, talent, and treasure. And I'll try to channel your real life selves as I do it. When I was reflecting on this, I was thinking a lot about our third principle, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our community. I think when we think about talent, a lot of us think, well, talent isn't what I have. I'm good at writing. I'm good at cooking. I'm good at making a yard beautiful. I'm good at gardening. I'm good at these things, but we don't think of it in terms of talent because talent feels a little bit like a too high a compliment for a Midwesterner to say, I'm talented at something, feels like a bridge too far for those of us who go around saying like, oh, it was nothing and no big deal. And oh, anybody can do that. That's our tendency. So when we think talent, sometimes I think we don't think about ourselves. But again, in reflecting all this, I've been thinking about you all so much. So I want to talk a little bit first about the definition of stewardship, one that I found, because often we talk about stewardship. I think about money first thing, because you when you're stewarding something, you have to care for it and it costs money. And money is what, we're talking about stewardship drives, all those things. It's always kind of money based in my mind. But stewardship calls us to live consciously, purposefully, and intentionally in alignment with our values on all levels and with all our resources. I liked hearing that because I think on all levels and with all our resources really includes talent. So in doing some readings, one of the people that I looked to was Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote a book called Big Magic that some of you are familiar with. And in thinking about that idea of that, I don't have a talent, who am I? I think that's too common. And to be a person, to be your full self, to be that authentic self and live into our values, I think we have to lift ourselves up a little bit. So we're going to do a little something here. I'm going to read you something that she talks about. So she talks about living a creative life, and it starts occurring when you first make your intent clear to yourself. So what she says is stand up tall and say aloud whatever it is, whatever your talent is. So I want you guys, you can keep your speakers on or off, you can drop it in the chat, but I'll read this first. So here's how we're going to do. So like she says, here's some of the things you might say. I'm a writer, I'm a singer, I'm an actor, I'm a gardener, I'm an inventor, I'm a photographer, I'm a chef, I'm a designer, I'm this, that, I'm this other thing too. I'm a lot of things. I'm curious, I'm a listener. I don't know what I am, but I'm curious enough to find out, and that's a talent too. So she says, speak it, let it know you're there. Hell, let you know that you're there, because the statement of intent is just as much an announcement to yourself as it is an announcement to the universe or anybody else. Hearing this announcement, your soul will mobilize accordingly. It will mobilize ecstatically, in fact, because this is what your soul was born for. Trust me, your soul's been waiting for you to wake up to your own existence for years. So I give you that because I think it's important that we remember that we all have talents. I was thinking a lot about all the people in this community, and I just want to shout some people out because every day when we give and we hold this thing up that we love so much, this Unitarian Universalism in Bismarck, Mandan, we contribute in a lot of different ways. So I'm seeing some people on the screen. And so, for instance, Stephen Crane has an amazing talent for music and the technology and technical pieces of music. Alicia, of course, her talent, her musical talent and her graciousness every day. Jim Lennington, Kim Hawking, they're just making sure things run and furnaces work and filters are changed. I mean, thank God for that. I don't want to do any of that. We have Anne and Mike, and they're taking care of the garden. I know that Mary shouted that out. I look at Pat and Dean and all the care they give to people and their graciousness. I think about Susan Osby and her passion for humanity. Dennis, I'm thinking so much about our other Susan Lyons. I'm thinking about how she loved those kids and we would go in there and care for kids and play with them. That's a talent too. CJ's detail orientation, Angela's behind the scenes perfect lifting up of stewardship, Mary and her detail and her accounting, and Christine and her steady hand as secretary. There's so many more, but those things are not just gifts of time, they're talent. They are our talents. If you listen, if you care, if you love, if you have a minute, if you're curious about what you can do, all of that is talent that matters to this community, and it keeps us going. Betty with her history, there's just so many more. I'm not naming everyone in front of me. And if you think of other people, drop them in the chat, because I think it's really important to now acknowledge that this talent isn't a channeled, spectacular, Academy Award-winning moment. It's those little moments every day where we give of ourselves, because our talents are all the things that we're creative, all the ways we give, all the things we provide to other people. So I want you to think that way. And I want us to make sure that we, that sense of enoughness that Mary mentioned, the things that we give, the things that we contribute, and the things that we are those talents. So thank you to every single one of you who gives your talent. For those of you who feel like there's something else out there, it will fill your bucket to give and to hold us up as a community. Everything we do fills our buckets and fills the buckets of others. So I just want to acknowledge that talent is as much part of stewardship and everything, and each and every one of you are incredibly talented, and to use that talent to take it in and live it and know that you're seen and recognized, and just to thank everyone for that. And now I think I'm handing it off to Liz to discuss treasure, and she's a treasure.
Thank you, Mary and Marnie, Christine, appreciate it. Donna's traveling and can't be here, but this board has just been spectacular. Just want to lift them up because they make me want to go to board meetings, and who actually ever does that? So I am going to talk to you a little bit about the treasure part. And as I was thinking about this, often as I'm drifting to sleep, I was really thinking about, what did I get? What do I get from this place? And then I kind of made this vision board. It is nuts, guys. It is like every piece of my life has been positively affected by this place. Friendship, support for my kid, challenges to my belief system, personal growth, expansion in being able to public speak. I used to do joys and concerns all the time because it scared the hell out of me. Now look at me, I can't shut up. So that's on you guys, thanks. And so I invite you all to really think about, what do you get from this place? And not just in the moment, but what through your spectrum of being here have you received? What have people here you've met given to you? What has this place given to you? Where have you grown? Where have you changed? How have you explored new pieces of yourself? How have you supported other people? How has it made you feel good? It's from our kids to, or my kid, who went to Apple Creek and was kind of bullied. Who came? Quinn Hathaway and Owen, her UU big brothers. Hey, if you need something, if they're bugging you, come get me. There's no price for that. There's no sense of like, oh, that's That's a $20 gift. That's a lifetime of gift. I got my job because of this place. Tammy Hathaway told me that Don was looking for a job. Okay, 7 years later, still doing that. It's this place, my friends, best friends, worst friends, people who have taught me how to be patient and explore. And so I invite you. How has this place affected you? And what does that mean to you? How can you express that in what we really don't often like to talk about, but money? Because of we have a vision for this place, right? We want our place to grow. We want to be even able to welcome even more people. We want to make them, our web of this connectedness, be even bigger in Bismarck. How many people are out there that are not satisfied with where they are? And they want us. They just don't know it yet. How many of you have been in that position and you finally found this place, this home, that where you can explore all facets of yourself? And so when I try to think about how actually dollars and cents, I was not raised in a church. I know about tithing, but that seemed a little extreme for me, but I didn't know how much to give. And so I kind of broke it down into day by day or monthly pieces. How much can I give a month? What seems reasonable? How much do I spend on other things? And I know that not everyone has a lot of extra money, but I feel like this place, this giving of time, talent, and treasure is sort of like the old saying about meditation. If you don't have time to meditate for an hour, you should meditate for 2. And I kind of feel like if you don't have the time to give to this place, you should give more. If you don't think you have talent, ask someone. We'll tell you what your talents are because we see them in you. And if you don't think you have enough money, really anything helps. Look at what was Bernie's number, like $37. Every piece helps, and it makes you feel better too. And we really do have to have money to keep the lights on, to keep things running, and to meet our goal of taking care of our home, a new roof, a new furnace, as well as getting a minister who helps us in so many ways. And so think about what can you give? And everything I've talked about does not have a price tag. I can't put a price tag on it, but I imagine what this world would be like, what Bismarck would be like if this place did not exist. My life would be completely different. We probably would have moved already. And how can I contribute to keeping that going? Because even there are people out there who don't come here that are so glad we exist. They love that we exist. And those are people we have to go talk to as well. But I love that we exist. And the fact of the matter is, all of the time, the talent, and the treasure matter. But treasure is something that we absolutely have to give. And so I invite you, look at what you gave. If you haven't given, give a little bit. I, for years, gave Prairie Public $5 a month, just out of my, what didn't seem like much, but by the end of the year, it's like, okay, I've made a difference. That helps. And knowing what you've given by having a pledge helps us develop a budget that's accurate. And so we're making some big, we have some big pieces that are sort of once every 10, 15 year repairs, the roof, the furnace, etc. And we're doing okay. We're not hurting, but we could be so much better and so much bigger. And a minister will help. Not a new building, but a revamped building, new roof, furnace, etc. will also help. And so try to, it helped me when I figured like, oh, I'll give that per year. And then I broke it down per month. It seemed pretty stingy. And so if I had to trade something out, I can do that. And this place is worth it. Abundance. That's the piece that I heard through all of the Marnie and Mary and Christine's pieces. Abundance. Come at this from a place of abundance. And one small piece in the bucket fills the bucket up, right? So it matters. And we are so grateful for all of you. And we really invite you to contribute with all your time, your talent, and your treasure. Well, not all, but some. So, yeah, I just think if you would ask yourself, what do you get from this place? What will you get from this place? What does this place give to you, to your family, to your community, to the world? And what would I be, what would I do without this place? And then,
I just wanted to say that listening to the bucket talk, it simply reminds me that our community is filled with people who have win-win situations. That's how they live. You know, filling someone else's bucket fills our own. It's a win-win situation, and that's how we should view all this. And that's how this community, in my opinion, works.
I'll share just a if I in my mind hold next to each other like where I was when I moved back here and we started attending here and where I'm at now. And I had a dream last night again that really impressed upon me. Just so much healing has happened as far as like the voice and my throat chakra and having a space like this that felt safe, that was encouraging and supportive, and then I could get back into music in a way that I was comfortable with and that wasn't pressured and didn't need to be perfect. And yeah, that's been amazing for me and something that I truly appreciate.
I think that, and thanks, Alicia, that comparison of where I was and where I am now, and each of you have provided a sense of peace that I didn't have, a sense of comfort that I never really experienced. I was sort of on the edge of organized religion because I didn't know where else to go, and then I found a place that I knew I wanted to go, and I'm just grateful for that.
But I'm going to share these words from Bernadette Burns. And then we'll listen to one more piece of beautiful music from Alicia while we sit with all we have heard and felt today. Let us take a moment to relax and catch our breath. Let us bring our focus here to this room, to this group of people, and to this moment. We bring a myriad of talents, ideas, needs, and styles. Yet within this diversity, there is a common bond between us. We love this fellowship, and we are willing to work together to improve and strengthen this community of ours and our lives.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, the far off hymn that is a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? For though the tempest round me roars, I know the truth that liveth. For through the darkness round me close, songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging, since love prevails.